The history of life on Earth has been a history of interaction between living things and their surroundings. To a large extent, the Earth has been molded by the environment. Only within the present century has one species, man, acquired significant power to alter the nature of his world.
Welcome to the Gowanus Canal. The canal, with its diverse communities and interests, is home to what could be one of the most expensive environmental cleanups ever. The combination of surface water, groundwater, sewers, and infrastructure make this an incredibly complex physical system. In addition, many different parties with many different interests are involved. Add a municipality, New York City, that controls the system and is reluctant to change it, and a regulatory agency, the EPA, that is operating at breakneck speed, and you have the makings of a very involved story. A story whose ending has yet to be written. Our story begins with our lead player, the canal itself, 1.8-mile long, man-made canal that dates back to the mid-1800s. The Gowanus Canal was listed on the National Priorities List on March 2, 2010, meaning that it was now among the nation's most polluted waterways and a national priority for cleanup. The EPA has moved incredibly fast, taking only 1 year to study the canal. EPA is going to select a remedy by the end of this year. The form and extent of the remedy, however, has become the trophy for which the various parties are competing. At stake is not only money, but the future of community growth and development and how generations to come will be able to use or not use the Gowanus Canal.
Numerous historical industries were located along the canal that resulted in a release and discharge of a variety of wastes to the canal. The canal also includes an extensive sewer outfall network, coupled with many other discharge pipes. A major player at the Gowanus that we have not talked about yet is the City of New York. The city owns the extensive sewer system that continues to pollute the Gowanus Canal. CSOs send waste to treatment facilities. However, during a storm, there is too much water and the system is designed to divert some of the waste directly into the canal. This system, which is typical in many cities throughout the country, would be very expensive to change. Needless to say, the city is reluctant to take action. Further complicating the CSO problem is the EPA's accelerated pace to select a remedy. At most complex water sites, it takes decades before any remedial action even starts. Here at the Gowanus, the EPA is aiming to cut that time in half. That means a remedy could be selected by the end of this year. Such a short time frame, however, means less time to study and plan, which means less data. Today, the canal is continually contaminated by millions of gallons of sewage and stormwater. This can be seen on YouTube in a homemade video aptly called Punami. Let's take a look.
Ew.
Who wants to surf that wave of garbage?
Oh. Oh. Look at the color down there. It's just getting faster and faster. Some people reacting.
Yeah, reaction shot?
Yeah. Oh, apparently it smells. They're holding their noses.
The Gowanus Canal is surrounded by different neighborhoods, many of which are up-and-coming hotbeds of development. For example, supplementing the already developed affluent neighborhoods of Carroll Gardens and Park Slope is the neighborhood name for the canal, Gowanus. One home in Gowanus sold for a record $3 million, while businesses like Whole Foods are expanding, and a number of new restaurants, cafes, art galleries, and even a concert hall are opening. Seen as a less expensive alternative to Manhattan, the Gowanus communities have high hopes for tourism. This brings skepticism about the Superfund process, which can take decades, and fear that any cleanup will stigmatize these communities and stunt growth and development. In fact, when the Superfund listing was announced, Toll Brothers, who is going to build luxury condominiums at Public Place, quickly walked away. Others believe that the Superfund cleanup is the only way to secure the area's future. They want a fast cleanup with all sources of contamination, including New York City's extensive sewer system, to be stopped right away. Add to this mix groups that want to use the canal for recreation like kayaking, groups that think industry should be encouraged to come back, New York City, which simply cannot fix its sewers overnight, and you have a pressure cooker of many different issues. This in turn puts different pressures on elected officials who often feel caught in the middle.
My name is Andrew Profit. I'm a project manager with Site Investigation and Remediation Department in National Grid. We're standing on the Citizens Manufactured Gas Plant site in Carroll Gardens, Brooklyn. This is one of 3 sites along the Gowanus Canal. The other sites being the Fulton Gasworks site at the head of the canal, the Citizens site being in the middle of the canal, and then there's the Metropolitan Municipal Works site at the end of the canal. The Gowanus Canal Superfund site is a complex system that consists of many components. One of these components is what we call the uplands. The uplands are sites that are related to the canal. They're located literally uplands from the canal. They're related because they were a source of some of the contamination to the canal. The upland sites are not governed by the EPA. Rather, they are governed by the state agency, the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, or DEC. National Grid has 3 upland sites, all of which are former manufactured gas plants, or MGPs. MGPs were neighborhood plants where coal was burned to create gas. The gas was then piped into local homes and businesses for lighting, heating, and cooking. MGPs in the United States date back to 1816. Several thousand MGPs operated between the early 1800s and the 1970s, when the last MGPs were closed. The DEC estimates that there were about 300 MGPs throughout New York State alone. MGPs left behind 2 types of waste: coal tar and purifier waste. Coal tar is an oily liquid that does not dissolve in water. Once the tar is in the ground, it can move. Purifier waste is a mixture of wood chips and iron filings. The wood and iron were used in the coal burning process to remove sulfur from the gas before it was distributed to the public. Coal tar and purifier waste contain benzene and polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, or PAHs. National Grid's 3 upland sites are called Fulton, Citizens, and Metropolitan. This is the Citizens site, located in the middle of the canal, gets its name from the Citizens Gas Company. The Fulton site, located at the top of the canal, gets its name from the Fulton Municipal Gas Company. The site has been subdivided and redeveloped for various commercial and industrial uses. One portion of the site is a public park. The Metropolitan site, located at the bottom of the canal, gets its name from the Metropolitan Works branch of the Brooklyn Union Gas Company. We are working with the DEC at all 3 sites to clean them up and to stop coal tar and purifier waste from getting into the Gowanus Canal. We do this by digging up the waste, carting it off, and disposing of it properly. We are also constructing walls along the canal to block the waste from moving into the water.
We have an extensive third-party practice designed to identify entities and see to it that they pay for their fair share of the cleanup. After reviewing historical data, we locate each entity on a map. This, along with forensic analysis, helps us to connect each entity to the canal and to eventually allocate each party's share of responsibility. Some entities are more responsible than others, and there will be plenty of negotiation.
All of the issues we've discussed, uplands work, community pressures, other polluters, a reluctant city, and a fast-moving agency, make the Gowanus even more complex and potentially even more expensive. Hope you enjoyed this brief tour of the Gowanus Canal. Thank you very much.